The casserole dish on my porch should have been my first clue that something was off. I stood there for a good minute, keys still dangling from my fingers, just staring at this aluminum foil-covered thing labeled in neat handwriting, beef surprise. The weird part? I hadn't made any casserole. Hell, I hadn't even been up to my mountain cabin in 6 weeks, and there's no way I'd leave food sitting out like that. But there it was, still faintly warm, plopped right on my welcome mat like it had just been dropped off by a neighbor, except I don't really have neighbors up here. Through the front window, things got even stranger. Little kids' sneakers lined up neatly by the door, a Bass Pro Shop duffel bag tossed on my coffee table, and a framed wedding photo sitting on the mantle of photo of people I'd never seen before in my life. I remember blinking hard, thinking maybe the drive had scrambled my brain. But that's when I heard the voices. A kid's voice clear as day yelled, "Mom, where's my Chromebook charger?" That was the moment my heart started pounding, because I realized, plain as day, someone was living in my cabin. Let me back up. Name's Randy Truscott. I'm a retired firefighter. 30 years running into burning buildings and dragging folks out, so I don't get rattled easy. 14 years ago, I bought this cabin in Clover Ridge Estates to be my own little patch of paradise, just peace, fishing, and quiet 2 hours away from all the HOA nonsense, the wine mixers, and those cutthroat community yard sales where folks price their junk just to make a point. Funny thing, my cabin isn't technically in the HOA. It's about 50 feet outside the official line. But that's never stopped Marcia Lintill, the self-appointed empress of the Clover Ridge HOA, from acting like she ruled the whole mountain. She calls it the moral aesthetic perimeter. Marcia once banned garden gnomes because, I kid you not, she claimed they promoted paganism. She runs that HOA like her own personal kingdom. And if you cross her, you end up on her hit list. Our feud started over stuff so petty, you wouldn't believe it. She complained about my unpainted deck, claiming it was lowering property values. She whined about my emotionally neutral shutters. She even tried to outlaw my porch swing, calling it dynamic outdoor furniture. I used to laugh it off, told her she had no authority since my property wasn't even in her jurisdiction. Apparently, that just made her double down. Things really blew up after the holiday potluck last year. My neighbor Tom, a decent guy who's actually in the HOA, invited me. I brought deviled eggs, a family recipe that always kills. Marcia took one look and announced to everyone that my eggs were too sarcastic for a family event. No idea what that means, but she made such a stink. I left early. From there, she went off the rails, sent me a cease and desist for unlicensed tranquility, claiming my cabin's peacefulness was messing with the neighborhood's energy balance. Her lawyer husband actually signed it. Then she tried fining me $400 for non-compliant porch swing dynamics, a rule she clearly made up the night before. One time, she dragged a Foon consultant up to my cabin, claiming my property was creating a negative vortex. After that, I quit showing up to HOA stuff altogether. I figured if I just ignored her, she'd get bored and hassle someone else. For a while, that seemed to work. No letters, no visits, nothing. I finally got 6 glorious weeks away on a fishing trip to Wyoming with my old firefighter booty. Yes, no cell service. No emails, just trout and laughter. But when I got back and saw that casserole dish, everything changed. I peeked through the kitchen window, and there she was, Marcia Lintill herself, standing at my stove, wearing my Denver Broncos apron, cooking something in my favorite cast iron skillet. Her husband was flipping burgers on my grill, acting like he owned the place. I ducked away, dialed 911, and whispered to the dispatcher that strangers were inside my cabin. She told me to wait for deputies, but I had to see what else they'd done. Sneaking around to another window, I nearly lost it. My entire living room was rearranged, me leather armchairs gone, replaced with some ultra-modern sectional piled with throw pillows covered in inspirational quotes. My prized 10-pound trout mount? Gone. In its place, a huge live laugh, love sign in cursive. The deputies showed up quick. I met them with my deed, license, tax records, everything. The senior deputy knocked, announced sheriff's department, and Marcia opened the door in my terry cloth bathrobe, me daughter's Christmas gift, to meekding like nothing was wrong. She launched into this totally bonkers explanation. She claimed eminent custodial rights under some fake squatter community clause 4C, said the Greater Mountain Region Property Alliance had ratified it. She even produced a printout of an email she'd sent herself with this bogus legal language about abandoned property and sustainable living initiatives. According to her, my cabin had been empty for 72 hours, her cutoff for abandonment. She'd posted notice, waited her self-invented required period, and then reclaimed the cabin. Her husband, still holding my spatula, nodded like this was normal. Their kid was in my hammock reading a book titled, "You Can't Own Land, Bro." The deputies weren't buying any of it. The senior one flat out told her, "Ma'am, that's not how any of this works. This is criminal trespassing." She started ranting about sovereign occupancy rights. Her husband tried to back her up, dropped my spatula, and no joke was wearing my fishing waders as pants. The deputies pushed in, started documenting everything, and that's when it got darker. Marcia had switched the utilities to her name using my info. She'd redirected my mail to her house, even put my cabin's address on her family Christmas cards. By the time backup arrived, Marcia, her husband, and their kids were being hauled out in cuffs. She screamed about constitutional violations the whole way. Her husband tried to yank my Wi-Fi router, claiming they'd paid the bill, technically true, since she'd used my mail and autopay. I pressed every charge I could think of: trespassing, identity theft, mail fraud, property damage. The district attorney took personal interest when he saw the mess. Turns out, Marcia had tried this before. Once fake communal marina privilege to steal a neighbor's boat. Tried to annex a gazebo using forged survey documents. The works. Her trial? Wild. She fired her husband's lawyer friend. Insisted on representing herself. Showed up with a PowerPoint titled, "My Truth, a Journey of Property Reclamation, Slides of Random Cabins." Memes about squatters' rights. Even a photoshopped rainbow over my house with the caption, "Spiritual Occupancy Achieved." She gave a 40-minute opening about energy ownership and the cabin choosing her family. Tried calling her kid to testify about the cabin's improved aura and wanted to put my cabin on the stand as a hostile witness. The judge nearly lost it when the court reporter couldn't stop laughing. Jury deliberated 11 minutes. Guilty on every charge: grand theft, trespassing, ID theft, mail fraud, vandalism. The judge hammered her with an 18-month federal sentence, 2 years state, 5 years probation, $38,000 restitution, lifetime ban from any HOA or property management. She even lost her real estate license. Marcia went through a rainbow of face colors, then started yelling that the court had no jurisdiction over a sovereign property citizen. The bailiffs had to drag her out while she screamed about the Supreme Mountain Tribunal. Her last words before the doors closed: "You can't imprison an energy guardian," which, honestly, sums her up better than I ever could.